So I sanded with 1200, then with 2000, and then I buffed it with white compound, and I still couldn't get the sand scratches out of it. So I moved up to another grade of abrasive made for stainless steel, and that did a good job. That thing is almost pretty enough to put on a car like it is in copper. Once I got it in the light, I can still see just a little bit of sand scratch. I probably didn't buff it enough, but I'm so scared of getting down into the pot metal. I'm probably taking it a little too easy. But I don't see anywhere where I've exposed pot metal, so I'm going to clean this thing up, and I'm going to go into nickel and see what it looks like. Remember that when I did that copy chrome, I got a real gray, fuzzy coating, which I was able to buff out to a high gloss, but wondering what had happened. Well, every now and then it's good to go back and read the Caswell book, because one thing you're supposed to do, this copy chrome anode, you should clean it every now and then with Scotch-Brite, because it gets some kind of oxide on it, and I never had done that. So I took it out, and you wouldn't believe the crud that came off of this copy chrome anode. I mean, it was thick on there, whatever it was. So I've cleaned it up, and I'm gonna give it a try and see the next copy chrome thing I do, see if it helps. Bad news. So I put this in SP cleaner. I was going to go directly to nickel, and when I did the SP cleaner, there's a little place right there, pot metal showing, a little place right there, another little place right there. So now I'm going to have to go back into flash, go back into acid, and try again. I don't know. I just wonder how other people are doing this, how in the world they're getting it buffed, sanded and buffed, without getting into the pot metal, unless they're getting a lot thicker coat of copper. My copper coating is just not that thick, either in flash or in acid. It's just not doing the job. Not giving me enough copper to do what I need to do. So we're going back into flash and start all over pretty much. So didn't make it through the copy chrome. Did the same thing. I was hoping cleaning that anode was going to solve that problem, but it's started plating that fuzzy looking gray when I put it into copy chrome, and the whole thing was gray, and then it looked like it started plating chrome around the side of it, but that middle section never did clear up. And then it started getting these black places, which according to the book, that means there's some copper or zinc in the bath. So right now I've got a dummy in that copy chrome bath. I'm going to see if I can plate it and plate out whatever is in there that's causing this. But I'm going to buff this again like they did the other one and see if it'll come out pretty like the other one did. So I took this and buffed it. Buffed it with that stainless steel compound first, and then white. And it came out beautiful. Even the black places that had plated onto it, whatever that was. Buffed those off, but I'd like for you to see this if I can get it in there. Hard to get it, but maybe you can see it right there. You can see that edge. Where that black was, it has definitely left a place that you can see. Was that corrosion running? With some pop metal corrosion running down the front of it? Just don't know what caused it, but it buffed out. It is, there is some roughness to it. I think maybe because I cheated, I put flash on it and went directly into nickel because the flash looked nice and shiny. I probably should have buffed it, but every time you buff it and sand it, you're going to hit pot metal again, and then you got to go through the whole process. So, oh well, it ain't perfect, but I am not going to do this piece over. It's just going to have to do like it is, and hopefully, so both of these windshield wiper bases are not perfect by a long shot, but they're shiny. And I think every time I do this I learn something, so I'm going to keep working and hopefully I can perfect this process. In the meantime, back to this clock bezel. I had a 1.5 gallon acid copper set up in a crock pot. That's what I've been using. And I've been complaining that it wasn't putting enough copper on. And when it came out, it was a beautiful salmon color, but not shiny. Kind of, well, fuzzy. But it was beautiful color. I just thought that's the way it's supposed to be. Never came out shiny. So I decided to get me another 1.5 gallon of chemicals, and so I set me up a 3-gallon tank, used the old 1.5 gallon, added 1.5 gallon of new stuff, new crystals, and new brightener. Everything goes with it. And so I put this piece in that, expecting to get the same kind of fuzzy salmon color, and it's coming out bright and shiny copper like I've never had before. Also, now it's a long story, but I was running this at if you figure the square inches of this thing, 300 or 400 milliamps is what it should be running at, but I've got this little homemade power supply that'll only go down to about, well, in acid copper it'll only go to about 1.5 amps. That's as low as you can set it. So this has been running at 1.5 amps, and here again, I don't know if you can see it, but it looks like you can see the lines, the way the copper was being distributed around it. But it's all shiny, so I don't know. I don't know whether this is putting on thicker or not. I'm gonna sand this down and see how it looks, and probably go back into flash. Well, I'll have to go back to flash because I know I'll hit the pot metal, and I'll do this again. And I don't know, maybe this is putting down, I know it's putting down shiny copper for the first time. Maybe it'll put down some thick copper. Well, I tried to buff this off. I've been using that little 120 grit buffing wheel in my Dremel tool, and it's been taking that copper off. But I don't know about thicker copper. I know it's shiny, but it's also harder. That little 120 won't touch it. I mean, this is hard copper. So I don't know what the difference is, except new stuff in the pot. I'm going to have to hand sand this with, I'll start off with, well, I don't know, I'll start with 180. I'll see how that works. I'd like to do it with 600, but let me give it a try. I don't know what the difference is, but this copper is definitely thicker and definitely harder. I mean, I had a time, even with 180, sanding this stuff down. So, and it came out of the pot shiny and bright. Never had that before out of acid copper. Always a fuzzy salmon color that looked like it had deposited a lot of copper, but when you went to sanding on it, it sanded away easy. This does not sand easy. So I've sanded it down, and I tell you the truth, with as much as that field, maybe one more at the most, two more. If it'll keep putting on copper like this, I'll be able to cover all of these pits. They're still visible, but they're definitely better than they were.